Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today, we're going to talk about public decorum. Is there such a thing? I'm Lady Bounce.
And I am Picket Fence.
All right, you got the mindfulness minute for us this week.
I sure do. Let me break it down for you right quick.
I appreciate it.
The mindfulness minute for this week. No matter what happens in life, be good to people. Being good to people is a wonderful legacy to leave behind. Word up.
Word up. So, in 30 seconds or less, tell me, how are you good to people when you go out every day?
I wouldn't say I'm good or bad. I actually, if I'm moving about, I try to be just, I guess I would say, absent of people.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, like, we're in a pandemic and it seems like everybody's going mad at times. So I usually, if I'm going to the store, I'll take my headphones so I don't have to hear all that idle chatter. One thing that I could say, I guess this being good, is I try to let, like, say if I see someone that looks like they're in a rush, go ahead. You know what I mean? Whether it be in the car, walking through the store, like they trying to get by, go ahead. I'm not in that much of a rush. You know what I'm saying? In past, I would hate to see somebody drive crazy because that used to make me angry. But now I'm just like, you go ahead and get out my way so I don't get killed. But when somebody does something absolutely crazy, I'm probably going to say something because you could have killed it me. But if they're just speeding, I'm like, go on and get that ticket because I don't want it. You know what I mean? But I'm never intentionally mean or disrespectful to people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I absolutely do. So, a moment of transparency. This show idea came out of something that I experienced when I went to go pick up a food order last week. So I'm gonna tell y'all about my experience. Please feel free to add us, to message us if you've ever seen this, or if you've encountered such a thing. So I'm in this local food establishment and I'm waiting for my order to be finished. It's not quite finished. And there are two men also in the waiting room. Now I'm playing on my phone, kind of minding my own business, because that's just what I do. So these two men are having a conversation and they don't know each other. So let me put a fork in that part. They don't know each other. The one guy received a text from what I'm assuming is a female, and she was asking him to come over and to see him, and she sent him a picture of herself dressed in a nightie to, I guess, further entice him to want to come over. Now, for most men, I guess, if they were in the mood to see that particular female, they would be excited to receive such a message. However, this guy began to have a very disrespectful conversation about this woman with this man with me standing there. So then, they get into this whole back and forth about how, chicks ain't nothing and they just want money, and she was trying to set him up, and that's why he wasn't going to go over there because it was a possibility that her man was going to come through and he wasn't trying to be in no stuff because it keeps the heater on him. I mean, it was like a just really kind of a crazy conversation. So of course the other guy, is chiming in, and also talking about how women ain't this and we not this and we not that, and these different tricks that women do to trap men into situations that are not always safe for their physical and mental health. And I was standing there listening, I was cringing. Not cringing because of the situation, but cringing at the fact that I obviously am a female, and that you're having such a vulgar, somewhat ignorant conversation in front of me. Where I remember a time where women didn't have degrading conversations like that in public, you know, just in general overall. But men, certainly in the presence of a lady, had a certain level of decorum and respect that they displayed. So while I didn't feel disrespected because I didn't know them and they didn't know me, heck, they didn't even know each other. But I was just sitting there like kind of appalled, like, how dare you have this kind of just outright ignorant conversation, in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as people, we don't do enough of being considerate. We have this whole thing like, this is me, this is who I am, who gonna check me, this, and this is how I move. But I also think that we need to move with other people in mind. So being considerate of the fact that I'm a female, and what if, just what if, I have been offended to the point to say something to both of them, or to check them about their behavior and their decorum and their words and the language that they were using. Then all of a sudden, then I'm fitting the category of female that they were just talking about. You know what I mean? And now it's a whole big on back and forth. I got to call my husband out. Now we got a whole problem. But the whole idea behind it was they didn't care enough about me standing there and looking like a normal, regular female. I wasn't scantily clad where I looked like some kind of thought pocket running around. I was dressed like a lady. So in respecting me like a lady, like what I look like, to tailor your language or tailor your conversation because I'm standing there. And I would expect the same thing if the roles were reversed. If those were females having a conversation like that, I would expect you not to have a conversation like that in public. That's how you talk to your friends. Do you? Nobody's telling you how to be. But in public, should there be a certain level of decorum and respect that we display?
Absolutely. One, let's unpack all of you. You said a lot. Let's unpack it.
Okay.
One, I'm sure he still went over there. I'm sure he did. Because men are weak when it comes to women. And I'll laugh, but I'm serious. I'm sure he went over there. Two, one thing that you said that really stuck too is that we've come to this, for some reason we've come to this mind state of, this is who I am, this is how I act, this, I say what I want to say when I want to say it, don't matter who's around, blah blah blah, yakety smackety. And we talk about authenticity all the time and staying who you are, and that's fine, but sometimes you cross that line of respect. Me, myself, I've said it once before, probably plenty on the show, that I'm king curse a lot. I curse in my everyday life. I've been cursing since the day I started talking. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally the first thing I said was cuss word. But even as a youth, as some say, a youth, me and my friends, we had a certain rule. It was like an unspoken rule. Hey, we don't curse in front of old people. We don't curse in front of beautiful women. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want a beautiful woman to think you some vagabond. You know what I'm saying? And people don't have moral rules anymore. You know what I mean? People say whatever they want to say with no regard to anyone else. I see people that, now we have good friends that, like, for example, your coworker, when we was at the car, he think he just talking to us and he like, a cuss word slip out, which, we don't care about that. But he notices that our daughter is in the car. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we have several friends that have done that. And we're like, oh, that's cool. She hear that all the time, blah, blah, blah. But they show a respect that, hey, there is a child, but people have in their minds now that you just do whatever, say whatever, do whatever at any time. You don't care about anybody but yourself. And we're being programmed more and more to think that way. He might have some legitimacy in his claim that, women are doing that because we see it becoming popular because it's saying, there's so much programming on this is what you should do. Women have been done wrong by men so many years, which is a fact that now I'm going to be just as scandalous. It's a solution. Is it a good solution? No. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, it could be vice versa. That could have been women having the same exact conversation. I see it all the time when I go to the store, which is one of the reasons I said that I always wear headphones now when I go to the store. Just to block, because I don't want to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? We are so attracted to drama and bad behavior and showing how tough and bold and how whatever I am. You know what I mean? And there's usually some trickery. And I don't want to be subjected to your trickery. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if I know I'm going to the store, I take my headphones with me. And I don't take them out until I'm about to be rung up. Because you see it all the time. People don't have any respect. They cuss in front of old people. They cuss in front of kids. They say all types of nasty stuff in front of whoever. They talking all loud on the phone. They have their phone on speaker. So not only do you hear them talking all reckless and nasty, you hear the person talking to them talking nasty and reckless. I was in Dollar General sometime close to this time last year when the pandemic started, and an older lady asked this younger, I would say she was probably in her 20s. The older lady was probably in her 50s. Can you give me my 6 feet? And so, I don't get and your 6 feet, blah blah blah. And at the whole time she's on the phone with somebody. And then she starts pretending to cough on the lady. Who cares about blah blah blah, yakety smackety, dog crappity, yelling at the lady. And to the point where the person that she's on the phone with is like, hey, did you take your medicine today?
Oh, wow.
And that's another sad truth, another story for another day about how we're over doped we are. But yeah, she's yelling at the lady and telling the person how I would beat this older lady up. What do you get out of beating some older lady up that is just trying to protect her health?
Right.
Not only are you being disrespectful to the other people in the store, if they're kids in the store, the people that work in the store, the person that you even talk to on the phone, because the person on the phone eventually, evidently knows that you have some type of issues. But you're doing this to an older lady that's just trying to protect her own health. Because we have to show how bad and tough we are. And it's just like, we have no moral codes anymore. It's like, it wasn't like we received the handbook, but it was like passed down like how our ancestors always did stuff through oral traditions. You knew what to say in front of some certain people. You knew how to act. If when you first got your first lady friend, that you walk on the side closest to the street. You know what I'm saying? The person that told you, like, even if you don't have a father in the home, like I didn't have a father in the home, but my uncle, like, hey, make sure you walk on this side of the street, make sure the lady on, closest to the building or away from the street. You know what I'm saying? And because we always communicated with each other those codes, he didn't even have to say why. Just like my mom, every time I went out the house, make sure you're on your P's and Q's. I didn't even know what that meant for years. But I just knew it meant that, hey, you're supposed to be respectful and cool and not get into no trouble. I don't think I learned that. I mean, she's been saying that since the day I started going outside 4 or 5 years old, and probably didn't know what that meant until I got in college. That it had something to do with a typewriter. You know what I mean? And it was just a certain way of saying, be good. I already knew that it meant to be on your best behavior. I didn't even need to know the origins of watch it P's and Q's.
It's so fun. It's so funny that you say that, because like my family was we were, I don't know, we were different. We got the same message, but for us and our family, it was, don't go out here acting black. Now, for a long time, I was like you. I was like, well, what does that mean? I'm black. I don't know any other way to be. But we somehow knew that it meant that the stereotype that is pushed about black people, that is not how you act. You act the opposite of that. You don't go outside barefoot. You don't go outside, eating food. You don't go outside talking loud. You don't get in the store and start touching everything or asking for everything. So we somehow knew, that there was a certain level of decorum that we should have when we go out in public. And because of how I was raised, when it came to rearing my children, I did the same things. I didn't tell them in quite that way, but I taught them, this is how we act in a restaurant. This is how we act when we're in a store. This is decorum that is acceptable behavior. And when they exhibited things that were unacceptable behavior, because they are kids and that's what kids do and they were learning, then I would also explain to them and let them know, hey, we don't act like that when we go outside. We don't throw ourselves on the floor because we got told no. That's not what we do. And so in doing that, I was able to take my kids a lot of places where you typically wouldn't see kids because they knew how to act.
Right.
I,
just to step in right quick, the only thing that I can say about raising our kids that was to be like an embarrassment was their fear of bugs if we were outside.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, every time, when we went to a restaurant, they knew not to act up at a restaurant. When we went places, they knew not to, be act up, And one thing that we do, will not see a lot of parents do now, which is good, is we gave them something to keep them occupied, because kids don't want to be involved in adult stuff. But and one thing I can remember clear as day is before our son became older into his own habits and stuff, that how he used to be so greeting to people. Like whenever somebody, oh, this your son, blah blah blah, he wanted to shake hands. He would always shake hands, and that would throw people off, even adults. Like, oh, he's so his mannerisms. He's like a grown man, he wanted to shake your hand. If you say, hey, this is my son, blah blah blah, he would stick his hand out. And I remember clearly one time I think we were at Coney Island down in Cincinnati, and one of the supervisor's sons was there, and she was like, oh, this is your son, blah blah, and he put his hand out to both of them to shake their hand. It's just about, and they, oh, he's a respectful kid. And like you said, you teach your kids how to act, but now it's like you have to show how hard you are. You have to show how boisterous you are. You're a loud person. The loud person is the popular person. The person that says, look how fat I am. That's not cool. You might have a heart attack. I ain't nothing cool about you. But we want to show, look how long Monique said that she bragged about being fat until them health problems started kicking in. Now, oh yeah, I'm doing this just to, I want to make sure I'm in health state. You know what I'm saying? And look how scantless I am. It reminds me of, not to jump off topic, but how people are talking about the Dr. Seuss thing and the Pepe Le Pew. It's like, these things are bad, but Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion is the best song in the world. It's like we flip-flop our thinking of morals and respectability for some reason, somehow. We've gotten lost in that.
And when I just want to clarify, when we say we're not just talking about people of color, because
No.
you had an incident on a recent trip to Walmart with someone who is not the same color as us.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. Put it out here. We're going to talk about behavior. Let's talk about it.
So we're in Walmart. We're now just this weekend, this weekend that we're in, past weekend, wherever you want to call it, into a year of the pandemic. And some people like myself, I try to only go to the store once a week. You know, I would like to not go even closer than that, but 4 people in the house, 4 adults basically, you're gonna have to go to the store at least once a week. So we see these people have children. They might have more children at home. We don't know. They have 2 carts full of stuff. Lots, like I said, 2 carts full of stuff. They have a lot of stuff. Walmart only has 1 lane open with a live clerk. And they have some U-scans open, which they've been pushing that even before the pandemic, but they have 1 live person. And a lot of times, me, myself, when I have a lot of stuff, a lot of different type of item stuff, I would like a person to bring that up, make sure everything's good, blah, blah, blah. And they're having some kind of difficulty because they have, like I said, a lot of stuff with 2 carts, and they have 2 kids with them. You know, it is what it is. I'm cool. You know, they should have better customer service. They should have more people in, but it is what it is. Every time I go to the store, I'm back in the aisles getting rung up. But there's an older guy. He might not have been older. He might have been my age, but he looked a lot older. Behind me, that is verbally complaining the whole time. First, it's like a member, you know, cussing, fussing, this and blah, blah. You know, oh, come on. Then he starts getting eventually louder. He's stepping on the shelf before you get to the cash register, looking over the cash register like that's going to make things go faster, or he's going to be able to identify something that can make the situation better. He's standing on the shelves. I don't even know what that's going to get you. And like the people, they're getting wrung out, blah, blah, blah. They spill their stuff. He cusses those effing idiots, blah, blah, blah. And he's going and on and on. And finally, the people kind of get in there. We're in line a long time. I'm not going to lie. We're in line about 25, 30 minutes. Gets to the point where we're starting to get ran. He's still fussing and cussing. He's cussing, and our daughter, she's frustrated too. And that makes it worse because she's got to hear his murmuring and stuff. And so she tries to walk off and blah, blah, blah. He's still going off. The person ringing us up isn't old enough to ring up some of the stuff we have. We got with some adult beverages. And he's mad that she's got to go get somebody else. So he's cussing even louder to the point where I was like, I let it go on. I let go on. To finally, I'm like, hey, chill out. We all going through it. You know what it is. We've been in this for a year now. We all are frustrated. We all trying to get out of here. We all want our stuff that we need. Just chill out. And then he paused and realized that I don't want to get smacked up. Not that I would do it. I probably would have done that if he would have said something back. But he puts his head down. He's still mad. But maybe I'm hoping that he just realized that, hey, this guy's right. Ain't nothing I could do about this. Just shut up and just wait like we doing. And to the point he's yelling so bad that they get somebody else to come ring us up, and they're frustrated. They can't get it. They got to deal with him yelling, dealing with the fact that they're not even I don't even think she was really a cash register lady. And she can't figure out what's going on, and she's hearing him yelling. So I have to, make sure it's cool. I'm good. Hey, he yelling. You ain't ringing him up. You ringing me up. I'm cool. We don't have respect for people. Not only people that are working in places, people that are just trying to get by and live. We don't know how to conduct ourselves in public. We don't know how to be nice to people. We don't care what the situation with these people are and why they had to buy so much groceries. Maybe they didn't want to come back to the store. Maybe they got 10 more kids at home and they need all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe the store doesn't have it. Maybe 10 people call it off. You're gonna fuss at the manager that comes to help. You know, she frustrated because her people didn't come. You never know what the situation is, and you just acting a hole.
And remember, and I said that too. I said we don't know, and because I work in the education system, so I deal with families and I work in the context of families. I'm like, we don't know if they are food insecure. We don't know if they got their stimulus check, and this is the first time they've been able to buy food in months or maybe even a year.
Facts.
We don't know, like you said, how many
Facts.
other kids that they have at home. I actually felt kind of bad for them to have to shop like that with two very antsy children with them. And the
Facts.
children were not misbehaving. They were
No.
behaving like children who
No.
had obviously been in the store a really long time to have collected 2 carts full of stuff.
Yeah, they weren't acting up at all. They were just standing around, just like
Yeah, they
wait.
were. I mean, they were antsy, but I
Yeah,
mean,
they were
you would expect
antsy,
that
but
for any kid.
but
Like
they
that's
weren't yelling and screaming, throwing stuff.
right.
They just were probably tired. They got 2 carts full of stuff,
Yeah,
and they hear this old dude cussing at them, and they don't even know this old dude.
and you said that, and that brings me to my next point that I want to make sure that I say is that when we're in public, we people should be mindful that some families don't expose their children to that kind of behavior or that
Facts.
kind of language. So, even in the midst of your biggest frustration, you should still be mindful of public decency. Have a heart, have some empathy, have some compassion, because like while our children hear cursing and we explain it to them, or they hear music or watch TV that has cuss words in it and they are old enough to discern it and to process it, families with younger children, maybe they don't cuss in their household.
Yeah.
And so here you are acting like a plumb fool in the store, and now these parents have to go home and try to explain it to their kid, because all the kid sees is, why is this old man yelling?
Yeah. And I'm an air dude. If I knew his name, I'd say his name. Airing him all the way out. This dude only had like 10 items. He could have went through the U scan.
Right.
What why you didn't go through the U scan? Because he probably didn't know how to use the U scan. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You gotta have compassion for yourself too. I don't know how to use the U scan, or I prefer to go through a regular person. So I'm just gonna have to sit here and wait my time.
And that's where I was with it. I was just a little frustrated with the Walmart trip in general, because there were things that I was looking for in Walmart that I typically go to Walmart for that they didn't have. But I wasn't upset or irritated to the point where I was going to like publicly act a plumb fool. And I was
Or lash out at somebody for no reason.
Exactly. I was hot wearing that mask. I was hot with my jacket on, but I still joked and laughed with all 3 of the cashiers who came up, to help and everything. And I told them, like, I had previously worked at Walmart, so some of the things that they were talking about, I had a frame of reference for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember those days and I don't miss it.
Yeah.
To let them know that, hey, it's okay.
It's
Like
cool.
you said, I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I'm chill. I want you to be chill. But I also think that goes back into what we do on our show and how we live our lives. We live our lives in a way that is compassionate. It's filled with empathy. It's filled with mindfulness, because we can't talk about it and teach other people how to do it if we're not practicing it ourselves. And so for me, I have just conditioned my life to a certain extent that it's peace over everything.
Yeah, definitely. Now let me be clear. This doesn't mean that you have to let people run over you.
No, not at all.
Or disrespect you. It doesn't mean that at all. You should defend yourself at all costs when somebody is offending you. But if ain't nobody offending you, you're going crazy over stuff that nobody has control over.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then you end up disrespecting all types of people that you don't know, or being rude to people you don't know. And the stuff that's out of anybody's hands. You know what I mean?
I certainly know and understand, and there are some things that I'm all, I even in just in general, we sometimes have to do things that we don't necessarily like, or things that are uncomfortable for us, and step outside of that box for the good of the greater good. So whatever that greater good is, sometimes you just have to suck it up, deal with it. You know what I mean? Rise above the occasion, go into that little piece of yourself that says, hey, this is me doing my part to make the world better. Now, yes, it is uncomfortable. Yes, it hurts. Yes, I'm annoyed. I am irritated. However, if I take all of these things that I'm feeling on the inside and I push them outward, who does that help? How does that help me more than anything? Because I like to often joke and say it's all about me. So if I push those things that are inside of me outwardly to other people, how does that benefit me? Does making somebody else feel bad make me feel good? Like, making somebody else feel bad should not make you feel good, period.
No. You know, one funny thing about it is, we went to two different stores, two totally different experiences on that day. And the funny thing is that this is like the first time I forgot my phone. So I didn't have any way to cloud out everything. I didn't have my headphones on my phone. So I had to hear everything that was going on with what we've been talking on the show. People that don't know how to talk to people that don't know how to act in public, people that, they don't care about themselves when it comes, which I know that we are going through the pandemic, but this has been before the pandemic. People coming to the store with their bonnets on and their pajamas on and stuff like that. And yeah, I know there are situations I don't have no clothes, but most of the cases, that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Even before the pandemic, you come to the store in your pajamas, they are now dirty, but you go home and sleep in them anyway. Come on, people, let's get it together.
I agree. I think public decorum, it is a thing. So since we're about helping people, that's the purpose. I want you as a person to start looking at how you behave in public. How do you look in public? What message do you think you are sending to the world when it's 4:00 in the afternoon and you still have on your bonnet and your pajamas? I just really want us as a people, as a human race, to get back to caring about one another. If this pandemic has taught us anything, it has taught us how much we need other people. We don't need these things that we have trained ourselves and told ourselves, oh, I have to have this car, I have to have this house. When this pandemic hit and those things were taken away, we realized very quickly that the only thing you have in this world is people. The only thing you really need in this world is people and compassion and empathy, and that comes from people.
Word up.
I just want to see us as a human race get back to being people, get back to caring, get back to checking on people or worrying about people and watching your mouth in front of grandma. No, that ain't your grandma. You might cuss like a sailor in front of your grandma, but don't cuss in front of their grandma, because maybe their grandma don't talk like that.
Right.
Maybe they don't raise their kids the way that you raise your kids. I mean, just get back to being human.
Yeah.
And we have seen
lost
human decency. And it seems like we've lost that because we're so in this, well, who gonna check me? Who gonna tell me?
Yeah.
Somebody should tell you. You should really tell yourself. Like, nobody needs to tell you. You should tell yourself.
Tell yourself that.
Tell yourself.
So that brings us to our self-care assignment.
It sure does.
Self-care assignment for this week is say something nice to a stranger. It could be a compliment. Yo, I like your shoes. And let's not limit it to saying something nice. You got a full grocery cart, you in the store, you see somebody got a just a few items, let them go in front of you. Don't be in a rush for life. Because the only thing you rushing towards in life is death. Because we all gonna die. You know,
Mhm.
that's the only thing. Think of it as that. Only thing you rushing towards is if you're death by rushing. So it could be saying, giving somebody a compliment, letting somebody go in front of you if you're in the store, um, giving something nice to your kids that you wouldn't usually do. Say, hey, I got a treat for you. Just do something that is compassionate for someone else. You could do it for a family member, preferably a stranger. Let's show that we can be compassionate to even to people we don't know. Word up.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, because of my profession, I do that anyway. I always feel like I love my students. I will bend over backwards for my students to do whatever for them, but I really feel like I work in the context of families. Oh, your aunt needs something. Here's a resource. Oh, your grandpa need this. Your mama needs this. Here's a resource. Because the bigger thing about me in particular, I want to leave an impact.
Word
when
up.
when I leave this world and people talk about me, I want people to be able to say, she was a teacher that I could go to, or she was that friend, or she was that person who always had my back, who always gave me the unconditional positive support that I needed, even when I messed up.
Word.
I want to, for me myself, I want to be that person. Like, there's a gospel song that talks about, when I die and I get to heaven, I want God to look at me and say, servant, well done. I want that. When I reach the end, wherever I end up at the end, I want to be told, hey, you did everything you were supposed to do. Yeah, you made some missteps, but well done. Come on in. And wherever that end is, I want that. So I'm
Word.
living my life for that reason. And even if there's nothing at the end of this life, I can rest with the legacy that I left behind in my children and in my friends that says she always did the right thing for the right reasons, which is, to me, is really important.
Word. Well, let's get into my favorite part of the show. Doom, 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 doom. Brain science, 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 science.
All right. So our brain science this week is 8 ways to be a more compassionate person. Politeness is to human nature what warmth is to wax. It is true. Being kind and considerate softens people and makes them malleable to your way of thinking. As obvious as this may seem, it's only recently that neuroscience has been able to explain why. Being kind and considerate to people of others will take you further in life than anything else. It will take you further than your knowledge that you've gained from college, from jobs, or what have you. We often talk about it's not what you know, it's who you know. And who you know determines where you end up in a lot of cases. It determines the ability to make moves in places where you otherwise wouldn't based on your reputation. So how do you do that? Let me tell you. First, be on time. When you are supposed to be somewhere, be there. Be there early. Show people that you value their time so that they value yours in return. Be deliberately empathetic, which is the two situations that you and I encounter both at Walmart and both in picking up our food. It's one thing to feel empathy for other people, but putting that feeling into action is another matter entirely. It's great to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. In fact, it's essential. But that doesn't necessarily translate into being considerate. To be deliberately empathetic, you have to let your ability to walk in their shoes change what you do. Apologize when you need to, and don't when you don't. When your words or your actions have hurt someone else, you should always recognize that and apologize. But there are times where you may hurt someone's feelings inadvertently, and in those moments, you should not apologize for what you said, but merely apologize for the way they received it or for the way it came across. But if you are checking somebody, there's a polite way to do that as well. You should find that. Smile a lot. Physically, it is easier to frown than it is to smile, as smiling involves 42 different muscles. However, it pays to make the extra effort, as smiling has a huge effect on other people. People naturally and unconsciously mirror the body language of the person that they are talking to. So when you smile at people, they will unconsciously return the favor and feel good as a result. And I note that we are all wearing masks at this moment, but you can still smile because your eyes smile with you and people can see your eyes and they can see your facial expression. Just to put that out there. Mind your manners. A lot of people have come to believe that not only are manners unnecessary, that they are undesirable because they are fake. Not true. These people think that being polite means you're acting in a way that doesn't reflect how you actually feel. But they've got it backwards. Minding your manners is all about focusing on how the other person feels, not how you feel. It's unconsciously acting in a way that puts other people at ease and makes them feel more comfortable being around you. Be emotionally intelligent. One of the huge fallacies our culture has embraced is the feeling that something is the same as acting on that feeling. And that's just wrong, because there's this little thing called self-control. Whether it's helping out a coworker when you're on a crunch to meet your own deadline, or continuing to be pleasant when someone who is failing to return the favor. Being considerate often means not acting on what you feel. I love this one. Try to find a way for everybody to win. Many people's approach to life is a zero-sum game. They think that someone has to win and someone has to lose. But considerate people, on the other hand, try to find a way for everybody to win. Now, we know that that's not always possible, but that is the goal. If you want to be more considerate, stop thinking of every interaction with others as a win-lose scenario. Sometimes it can be win-win. And last but not least, act on your intuition when it comes to other people's needs. Sometimes you can just tell when someone is upset or having a bad day. In such cases, being considerate means checking in with them to see if your intuition is correct. If your intuition is telling you to reach out, do it. They will appreciate your concern. So to sum it up, being considerate is good for you, your mental and physical health, your career, and everything around and everyone around you. And on top of that, it just feels good. So do what feels good.
Word up.
Word up.
Before we get out of here, let me check out that shirt. I like that shirt there.
Check out my shirt. I am a mental wellness advocate. So shout out to IR Conscious on the shirt. We'll put the link in the comments if you want to get up with him to get your own. He has different colors and different sizes. Your goal every day with every interaction should be to be a mental wellness advocate. Talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, different messages too, all positive messages. That's get your shirt. .store.com. Get your shirts .storenvy.com. Holler at Uncle Conscious for you.
Holler at Uncle Conscious. And he's been a guest on our show before as well. Talking about mental wellness and keeping yourself in check together. So go back and find that episode, read that, buy a shirt, support a Black business. And for people who are into that thing, celebrate a Black man. How about that?
Word up. Word up. Yo, be sure to check us out on all social media platforms, anywhere you get your favorite podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. Word up. Please, please, please like, share, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, IG, and Twitter. Those are the biggest platforms. So please like, share, and follow and subscribe. I'm your boy Picket Fence.
I'm your girl Lady Bounce.
We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.